Alright, we'll get started here with a quick introduction. Most of you probably know who Action Illustrated is, and I am already, but if not, you get a little bit of a review of what we're all about here. My name's Clay. Many of you might know me as just Hey Clay. Hey Clay, I got a question in graphics or a question in Corel Draw, that type of thing. First and foremost, feel free to reach out to us. Everyone in this class is a client. Well, almost everyone in this class, I believe, is already a client. So that 866-696-8403 phone number, there's almost always someone here at Action Illustrated willing to help and answer your questions, connect computers with you, and walk you through what it is you're looking for. Personally, I've been a Corel trainer for over a decade now, worked with Action Illustrated for about 3 years, worked for a handful of other software companies in the imprint industry. Again, feel free to contact me, trainingincorel@gmail.com or clayb@actionillustrated.com. The training in Corel might be the most direct way to get a hold of me these days, and you know what, I'm going to add that right here so you guys can see it. In the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar dialog box, the window that pops up on the top or the right side of your screen there, there's a section for questions. Feel free to ask questions as we go through the class today. And I'll try to get to almost all, if not most of those during the class, although to be honest, probably most of those will have to be answered via email and phone calls later. But training in Corel at Gmail is probably the best way to get a hold of me with quick questions, that type of thing. Before we do dive into today's topic, most of us being owners of the Action Pro Studio software, the software that makes Corel Draw, well, as I like to say, 100 times easier, because it really does. Our awesome vector graphics library, most of you own the whole library of artwork, our Easy Stitch and Easy Jump software. I'd like to bring up a couple additional resources for you guys. ActionIllustrated.com. If you click on the Contact Us tab in the upper right here, it's going to list all the trade shows that we're going to, most of which I'll be teaching classes at. And then, next year's calendar might be something for you guys to keep an eye on. So Imprints Canada, PPAI, all the MPS shows, most of the ASI shows, ASI Road shows, DAX, Decorated Apparel Expos, NBM, ISS, etc., etc. So quite a few additional events that we'll be at and classes I'll teach there. For specifics, just email me. Again, trainingincorel@gmail.com. Action Illustrated's YouTube page is awesome. There's a homepage with some basic videos, but if you click on the Videos tab on our YouTube page here, Denise has done an excellent job explaining pretty much every function in all of our software tools, and tons of videos here. I'd say dozens, but I'm sure it's probably over 100 by now. She did a great job with that, and her voice is nicer than mine, so feel free to use that as a resource for not just Corel training, but of course Action Illustrated training resources as well. My Corel Draw Facebook page, so Training in Corel or Corel Draw Training or Corel Training, you should be able to find me. This is my Facebook page. I have a festive icon right now, a jack-o'-lantern type scarecrow looking there, and I post most of the events that I'll be teaching at here on this Facebook page if you're a Facebook person. Also in Atlanta in November, big class that I'll be teaching, today's class that I posted there, different events, SGIA show, etc. So another resource for additional training resources for Corel as well as Action Illustrated software tools there for you guys to keep an eye on. Today's topic, as I mentioned, I do want to start with Corel Basics, just to get a general concept, make sure we're all on the same page. If you need additional Corel training, again, there's all those resources I mentioned, or just email me and I'll send you some recorded videos. This class should be recorded today, but it only seems to be functional about half the time. So if you want this class as a recording, let me know, again, via email, trainingincorel@gmail.com's best, but there's a 50-50 chance that I won't be able to get it to you. Sorry about that. Introduction. So, you know about me, Corel Draw is the industry's best tool for graphic design. And by industry, I mean imprint industry, screen printers, embroiderers, sign makers, not classically trained graphic designers as much as people who need to get good vector artwork done yesterday. That's where Corel comes in. That's where Action Illustrated has built itself into a very successful software and graphics and web company for expanding your business. Let's make things as efficient and as effective as humanly possible for hooping garments, for pulling squeegees, for the things we do, weeding vinyl every day. So that is the ideal tool. So Illustrator people, great, good for you. Illustrator. Corel's just, in my opinion, and in other people's opinion too, the best tool for the job. But obviously, you can use other tools to get the same job done. I'm not saying anything bad. Again, so some terminology, get everyone on the same page. When I say tools in CorelDRAW, me and most trainers are usually referring to the toolbar on the left-hand side of your Corel workspace, so the tools. When we say menus, we're usually referring to the ones that start with File, Edit, etc. up at the top of your Corel workspace there. When we say property bar, we're usually talking about the properties or the tools in between the menu and the ruler in between. So a couple things. There's these properties that are in pretty much every version of Corel. They differ slightly. There's these properties, which is the Action Illustrated property bar. So the Pro Studio software that I'm about to go over, our Rhinestone software and embroidery software, Easy Stitch. And then just below that is the editable bar, the property bar that's dynamic, if you want to think of it that way. This property bar right here will change depending on what is currently selected in Corel. As you notice, I just clicked on the text. Now I have fonts and point sizes and bold options, things like that. But in the property bar on the left end of it, almost always you'll see the X and Y axis, the location of whatever is currently selected, and what is selected's height and width, and then getting into more details of what's being specifically selected again based on the property bar there. Color palettes on the right hand side. I have several color palettes. You might not have all of these palettes loaded into yours. If you want to add those, feel free to ask specific questions and I'll answer those later. I don't know if we'll be getting into that unless you guys type in a lot of questions in the questions window on some of that specifics there. And the rulers, obviously on the left and top of your Corel workspace. While you zoom in and out, the rulers do change. The artwork is dynamic, so if I were to stretch text or graphic out, obviously its width and height and center location has changed, and the ruler will identify its specific locations also. So a couple ways to identify that there. Control-Z on my keyboard to go back one step. Most of my training classes, for those of you who've been in my classes, you already know this, I'll say out loud the shortcuts, the Corel shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts as they do them. I won't be mentioning every time I copy-paste, group and ungroup. I will be mentioning it, excuse me, but I might not be going up to object and then going into grouping. I might just say Control-G, that type of thing. So you're aware there. Drawing tools and an overview of that. I'm just going to spend a minute here. Most of you know about the drawing tools themselves in Corel, so just a minute here. So the pick tool is how you select things, click on different things. The shape tool is how you identify the individual pieces and parts of what is selected, basically working into the nodes, the level of nodes. The crop tool allows you to crop out what is currently selected. You must first select something before you start cropping it. Most of these tools also have a flyout option in the lower right corner of each of those tools. You'll have a flyout with additional tools in that category, like using the eraser tool just underneath the crop tool there. The zoom tool, yes, it's Z on your keyboard, or you can go to the zoom tool itself, but I most often use the wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out, depending on what it is I'm working with. The freehand or Bezier or drawing tool, if you want to think of it as that, and again, additional drawing tools beneath it. There we are. And then some additional tools for drawing shapes even below that in the toolbar. Rectangles and squares, circles and ellipses, polygons, multiple-sided objects. Beneath the polygon tool, you'll also find stars and spirals and different tools like a call out or a banner, a ribbon that you can physically manually draw in Corel, the text tool, etc. So play with the tools. You will not break Corel Draw. If you think you broke it, that's where my tech support and I come in. We'll help you out. It's really difficult to actually hurt your Corel Draw. They're tools to be used. Going over most of those menu options. I mentioned the object menu, text menu, bitmap menu. You guys will go through a lot of those. Just kind of naturally learning in the next, let's say, year, if you're brand new to Corel, working with a little bit of the basics of the menus. But because you bought Pro Studio, you're going to be able to move into production right away without learning, half the program, half the Corel Draw itself. Ultimately, the rest of the class here I'll be going over are shortcut functions that you guys purchased. So thank you for that. Alignment tools is something you might want to keep an eye on. Very underutilized, found under Object, Align and Distribute. Bring up all your alignment based on what's selected. Or Control-Shift-A is the shortcut to bring up all the alignment tools on the right side of your Corel workspace. All right, before I do dive into the Pro Studio itself, just real quickly, I want to mention the value of clip art. Ooh, bad word, right? Clip art. Can't say that. Well, here at Action Illustrated, when I train new salespeople and such, I tell them clip art's a bad word. Say production ready, perfect vector. Say words like that. Perfectly layered and grouped vector artwork. It gives you guys, our prospective clients and current clients, the better idea of the quality and the time that my artists spend drawing perfect line art for you all to use, whether it's a scene or a mascot or whatnot. As most of you know, we're up to over 30,000 quality vector graphics these days. Because of the quality of that clip art, if you will, all these images cut in vinyl nicely, convert to embroidery nicely, screen print perfectly. They're drawn and layered how they should be, as if you hired a professional artist to do nothing but artwork specifically for our industry, and that artist understood the industry. That's a big part of it. Designers might not understand out of graphic design school what hooping a garment is, what color separations actually is, and burning negative, these type of things. So that's where we come in. And again, I just want to pat on the back again my tech support department and how much they help all you guys so much. All right, let's dive into the Pro Studio itself. So I'm going to go to a new page. I might skip around a little bit, but I'll come back to this outline here in just a second. For those of you who logged in a few minutes later here, do make a note, if you haven't already, of my contact information. trainingincorel@gmail.com is probably your best resource. That's a direct email to me for getting more knowledge on what it is you own from Action Illustrated, and a few of you who aren't quite clients yet that are in the class signed up through the website or Facebook or something there. So, all right, new page in Corel. All right, the browser is where, hold on a second, a little bit of technical difficulties with the audio. I'm going to pause for a second and let the program catch up, as it did. If I just started to sound a little gargled, again, this is one of the reasons why our recorded classes don't always work perfectly. I just got a notification that there was a glitch. But anyways, let's dive back into it. So the browser function in your Pro Studio software, that is this button right here. As you hover your mouse over the different tools in Action Illustrated tools, will identify what it is. You'll very often start with the browser to find what it is you're looking for. So the browser on the left here lists every graphics category that you've created once our software was installed into your computer. This includes graphics categories that do not come from Action Illustrated. It's very easy for you to use the Import CD button, browse to any folder on your computer, or even on an external hard drive, or even on a flash drive that you might have plugged in when you purchased our graphics library. Browse to anything with this browser here. And once you hit import, it will import it and save it into, well, the browser. And as you'll notice at the bottom, after the 23 volume set of Action Illustrated graphics here, I have some additional art categories that I've created myself that you guys might want to create with artwork you've created in the past, clip art volumes that you've purchased in the past, and maybe a category of all the schools you've worked with, etc. When creating these art categories, they are located, just going to open a new window here, when I X out of that, X out of here. This is my messy desktop, I know. So on your computer, you just open any new window, right? So this window that just came up, you go to your PC, my PC, this PC, go to your C drive. And under the Action Illustrated folder, you're going to see the CDs / the volumes that you've installed. So this is where it's creating these categories, these additional categories, when you hit the Import CD button there. And that list that was just up in the window is also the list that is on the left here. Let's grab a new template. This template comes from our newest graphics volume, Sports Zone. If you own our entire library or purchased recently and own all 23 volumes, then you already have this one. If you purchased a year ago or something like that, you might not have the newest one. Though we provide free training, free upgrades, free support, of course, once a year you have the option to purchase the new volume, and Sports Zone, the image on screen, is one of the newer ones. So this template on screen now is completely editable in every way we might want to edit it. With the browser, by the way, I could have just clicked once and hit import, and it would have imported the graphic on top of the page that I'm currently working with. But what I did is I double clicked on the, I guess it was this eagle image, and it just dropped the eagle on its own new page in itself. So a couple different ways to import there. So the editor, so the first button in your Pro Studio software, the template editor scans everything in your Corel workspace. This includes any other graphics that you've imported from our browser or imported from the internet or wherever. So when I hit the editor, it scanned everything in my Corel workspace. Instead of eagles, we're going to write action. Instead of baseball, we're going to write illustrated. Illustrated, yeah, I spelled that right. State, we're going to put art. Actually, I'm going to change that. Better. Artwork. Now. There we go. And I hit update, and it'll dynamically change all of that text based on the text that I typed in. The software will change fonts on the fly. Just to the right of each text line, you have the F for font, in which you can browse through all your fonts on your computer or type in a specific font that you're looking for. If I type in C on my keyboard, it automatically goes to C's, cartoons, whatever. I don't like that font, but at least you guys are getting the idea of how the fonts will still dynamically change inline, outline, contour, shadow, and envelope with that fancy software you got from us. Thank you. The pieces and parts of the design are also very easily editable. You can either click on parts. As I click on this part here, it found it in the group list, and I can delete it, which was the stars. You can click on different parts, delete those too, or replace them obviously too. So for example, our eagle guy here, awesome baseball player, I can replace. The same browser comes up, and I can either keyword search at the bottom here or go into specific categories of graphics that I might want to replace the eagle with. So let's type in tiger. Very often with Action Illustrated, we like to use tigers. It's just a thing. So maybe it is still going to remain a baseball design, but I wanted a tiger in there instead of an eagle. I click on the tiger and it replaces. By the way, when you are browsing, I'll hit the replace again here. For something else, a field. It is browsing the entire library based on keyword searchable images. And at the bottom here, it's telling you exactly how many it found. I have exactly 727 field graphics, or graphics that have the word field associated with them. There we are. You can click on the different pieces, stretch them out, resize them very easily. The software is keeping track of all the colors in the design right here. So obviously way too many colors for screen print application, that type of thing. A few ways to consolidate colors. I can drag one orange over to the other orange, let go, and it will consolidate, as you can see. Drag one dark color over to another dark color, consolidating the blacks and grays, that type of thing. This gray over to that one, etc. Now this process black I can identify by hovering my mouse over it, possibly just click on the gray and click on replace in the second category here. I know I'm going to replace that gray with the process black. I can either type in process black here, or I know that it's up at the top in my Pantone color palette right here. Here's the before color, here's the after color, the color I'm changing it to. But also in Pro Studio you can adjust halftones. So I can make that new color, process black, pretty much look the same as the gray that it used to be. Let's lighten it up on purpose so you guys can see it change. I'll hit OK. So now I've consolidated the colors, one of the grays into the black, but now I chose that to be a halftone of the black. A couple big shortcut buttons here you should be aware of. And maybe we would just want to exchange the yellow with the tigers, or maybe in red and orange, or I don't know, whatever. I'm just going to click on red. You guys are getting the idea. This button right here under the color area will simplify the entire design, converting everything to black and white. Keep in mind you might lose a little bit, like the text in the ribbon. It's white with white in the ribbon. It's still there, as you can see up here, better artwork now. It just kind of lost it because it's white on white. It's hard to identify. This button is a great way to get you 90%, 95% of the way to done when you're going into like vinyl cutting, that type of thing. Hitting undo right here to go back a step. This button converts the entire graphic to a grayscale. Great for a laser depth when doing laser engraving, etc. But also great for converting the entire graphic to a one-color Pantone. And I'll choose an orange. So the graphic on screen now is truly a one-color Pantone with quite a few different shades, but it will burn as one color. Now it's important for you all to realize that Action Illustrated software doesn't take anything away from CorelDRAW. It just adds these awesome shortcuts. You know, it will never keep something, you know, your ability that, you know, that you might want to do, like selecting the text and moving around, something like that. You can still do all that. Our software is just making things faster and easier and cutting the right corners for you. Still stretch things out, move things around. You see what I'm doing there. So I just want you guys to be aware of how easily you really can customize the artwork in CorelDRAW and with our software both. Okay, I'm going to skip quite a few of the buttons in Action Illustrated Pro Studio. I'm not doing this because I want you guys to have to learn it yourself. Well, that might be a part of it. But I'm doing this mostly for a time frame thing. We're almost halfway through the class already, and as you can see, there's quite a few more buttons for me to teach. So if I am going to mention the Jersey tool, play with the Jersey tool, import a list of like an Excel file, a list of player names and numbers, and it's going to do all the hard work for you. Play with the text effects tool. Awesome, awesome tool. Just type in some text in Corel, click on it, hit that button, see what it does. It's amazing. Create your own custom athletic tails very easily with this tool here. I also want you guys to play around with these tools because that's the best way for you to learn it. Again, you won't break it. The custom monogram tool, you can create an infinite number of your own custom monograms. 1, 2, 3, 4 letter monograms, monograms with words over the top, monograms with shields and crests and arches and all sorts of cool stuff. The circle text tool is a oldie but goodie, just a great tool for you to select a circle and that you draw in Corel and any text, and it places that text, adjusting the spacing of the lettering nicely anywhere on that circle. Bottom, center, inside, whatever. It's pretty cool. I mentioned this tool, importing your own categories or graphics in the Next Tool browser. This button will allow you to send any vector artwork straight to a cutter. You just need to install the driver, make sure the driver is accessible to CorelDRAW itself. We can help with that. And this button right here applies distressing, washed out looks, things like that over the top of the design that you're working with. You may or may not want to do so. Some distress patterns might be a little bit too much for a lot of our clients that want more simple things. Very popular there. I am going to spend some time on, in my opinion, my favorite and the best tools, coupled buttons in the Pro Studio software. The thing that a lot of you bought our software for. This button being able to drop the graphic on screen on specific products, and the next button being able to drop those products with the graphic on specific order forms, etc. So, insert product blank. Software comes with hundreds of vector product blanks. We keep them vector on purpose. That way you can size them and color them however you want. Bags, mugs, hoodies, pocket knives, all sorts of cool stuff. Tons and tons and tons of apparel. They're also vector for those of you doing like print and sew and things like that. Very easy to power clip graphics into sleeves and fronts and sides. And don't worry if you don't do that type of stuff. But it's also very easy for you guys to create your own categories inside of our software. This is a major reason why a lot of you purchased this. So this is a folder. I named the folder from Google, and I placed that folder inside the other folder that came with the software, product blanks. I'm about to show you where exactly that folder is located. So let's take the graphic that we had, show it on this product and this product and this product and this product, and hit OK. I held down Control while I was selecting multiple products. Maybe the order is just for the tees, and you want to show the client a bunch more options. Notice the quality of this JPEG, this gentleman with the shirt, is very low, and that's just the resolution that I saved it as. And that's the way it's going to come up even when we generate our proposals and layouts. Something else I did on purpose here. Notice that the page is 8.5 by 11, but the background in Corel, the page in Corel, is 11 by 8.5. Weird. You can spin that manually in CorelDRAW by actually just typing in the properties bar how you want that to be. There we are. So now the page is the same as the page, if you know what I mean. There we are. Pink. And you can physically print this out on a piece of paper, hand it to your client. So let's go into customization of these features. I'm going to show you guys exactly where they're at. So you must save, let's say, the graphic and a JPEG as a CorelDRAW and a JPEG, or the proposal sheet as a CorelDRAW and a JPEG in a specific location. So on your computer, on your C drive. Okay, so that's a given. Not going into the Action Illustrated folder. You're actually going to go into the Program Data folder. And if you guys want this list, I can email it to you, or you can take some notes. So C drive, Program Data. That's not coming up, and if it's not visible, you might need to go up to View and make sure that Hidden Objects is selected so that you can see it there. So Program Data. In Program Data, you'll find a new Action Illustrated folder, and in that are applications. And here's where we're getting at, and here's where we just need to save things so that they always come up easily in our software. And by things, I mean your own distress patterns, your own order forms, your own product blanks. So in the product blanks folder, as I mentioned before, they have all these vector product blanks, but I also created a folder inside of it, and I named it from Google. And there's each of the product blanks that you saw there in 2 versions. And I'll walk you guys through here in just a second, saving those 2 versions. You'll notice one version has a name as a CorelDRAW file. The other version, the same exact name as a low resolution JPEG. That's just the preview that comes up when I hit that button. That's just the actual little preview. So going to a new page in Corel, jumping on Google, not that we would ever go to Google to find something, typing in a royal, if I could spell, blue tee, going to our images, clicking on a royal blue tee. I don't like that one. Whatever, that one will work. Hey, there we go. Going to view the image, right-clicking on the image, copying it, going into CorelDRAW, and pasting it. There we are. So now we have a royal blue tee in my CorelDRAW. It's kind of low res, but anyways, it'll suffice for our example purposes here. What you must do, you can save it, as I mentioned, in 2 ways. So I will go up to File, Export, blue T. Yeah, I know my caps lock was on, but whatever. And I'm saving it in that specific location I just mentioned to you guys. Let's go over that again. C drive, program data, Action Illustrated, apps, and obviously this is a product blank that I want in its own folder. Blue T with my caps lock on, export. As a JPEG, obviously. Let it think for just a moment here. And I'm going to save it in a very low resolution version. Again, this is just a little tiny JPEG preview, so it really doesn't matter. You can even go into this specific width and height and adjust the pixels if you want. About 120 by 120 is what we're shooting for. So actually I'm going to do double that, 250 by 250. There we go. Hit OK. So in that specific location, I just saved this Navy T in that folder. What I'm going to do next is save it again as a Corel Draw file. But first I'm going to draw a rectangle on it. I'm going to go up to my object properties, object manager, which you might want to go to your object manager. And the object selected, it's just a rectangle, right? Well, I'm going to change the name, and it must be changed to for image. There we go. Now I just save it in the same location with the same name. Now it sounds like a few steps, but it's really not that many steps. Once you've done it a couple times, you're just saving the product twice in the same location with the same name. One of them is a Corel Draw file that has a rectangle. That's all. And the other one's low resolution. So what did I name it? Well, I guess I could browse to it to find out exactly. And I'll view. Did I call it Navy? Must remember what you name it as. You might want to copy and paste that, actually. There it is. Blue T. That's what I did with my caps lock. Whew. There it is. And saving it as a Corel Draw file there. Do you want to continue? Yeah. There we go. So from here on, whatever graphic we have on our screen, copy, paste. We go up to our browser, and there's the blue T. I could have changed the res a little bit so it shows up better. It'll drop the graphic on that product automatically. And then we could go into the next step. Drop it on a proposal sheet. All right, now customizing the proposal sheet, same thing, same thing. I actually recommend you start with one of the proposal sheets that came with your software, ungroup it, and just work from there. So I'll delete this. Literally import your logo. Put your logo there, whatever it might be. Here, I'm going to use a piece of clip art. Let's import that. I'm going to pretend that that's my logo. Bink, imported that. Notice how I clicked import this time. I didn't double click on the graphic. So there's my logo for right now. And literally type in your business name. Literally change this stuff. Why not just use one of our templates and change it up? Type in whatever. Come on. If I could type, we're the best. Print shop 123, whatever it is. There we go. Type in your phone number and then rearrange it. How you might want, your info over here. You might want a different font, whatever. Customize it. Play with it. You might delete half the stuff at the bottom here. Ungroup again. Select a whole bunch of it. Now I'm exaggerating because this is a class and I'm just going quick. But you guys are getting the ideas, of how you can really rearrange all this stuff however you might want it to look. Select that. Here, we'll just delete all those. Maybe stretch this out a little bit more. Bink. And then just like before, you need to name one of these. So this rectangle right here, you know what I'm going to name it. Bink. Click on it. For image. There we go. And then I will file, export. Now, not in the product blanks folder. We're going to go back to the action apps. We're going to do it in the order forms folder and name it blah 123. Here, Control C to copy that so I don't forget. Export it as that JPEG in a very low resolution. And actually, we could even go down to like 72, very low res. You guys want to keep that really low res because it's just, again, a little thing. And then in that, the little thing being the preview, the pixel preview when you click here. It's going to come up there as soon as I'm done. And I need to File, Save As, paste the same name, go into Action Apps, Order Forms, and save it. There we go. So again, if we're on a particular page, doesn't matter what's on the page, import a cool clip art. Let's do another tiger. Whatever. Take this design, click this button to show it on the new blue shirt that we had. Click the button next to it to show it on the blah 123 layout. Oh, but when I saved it, by the way, everyone, let's go back to that. It's multiple pages. So it saved all those pages. I just noticed that. Because the Corel Draw file, you want just this, right? So copy, paste that to a new page, then I'll save it as, what I call it, blah 123. There we go, and now I'll replace it. There we go. Yes, I want to replace it. Oh, because it's open. So that's why when it created right here, everyone, it did everything I asked it to do, but it brought in all 3 pages. That's all. So something to keep in mind there. Bink. All right, and here I'll close this one so that we can save it. There we go. File. Save as, blah 123, save, and replace. There we go. So from then on, any graphic on our workspace, I don't know, we were doing tigers. Select a product, or several, holding down Shift now. Rearrange them if you choose, and then proposal sheet. There we go. Now, by the way, that rectangle that I drew and I named for image, it was so big that it overlaps some of your company info. So keep that in mind too. You might want that rectangle to be below your logo a little bit so the products drop in lower. Makes sense, makes sense. Cool. So there's custom proposal sheets, custom product blanks, most of the features in the Pro Studio software. I know I'm 3/4 of the way through the class. Let's get to some of the other cool functions and the other cool software that you guys got from us. X out of most of these. There we go. I was using that one template. I really liked that template in Sport Zone. I'm going to bring that one up again. I have a thing for symmetry. It's true. Like this is a cool design, and then you guys use it all day and make $1 million with it, and this one over here too. But me, I don't know, I'm OCD. I like symmetrical stuff. So let's take this one. Let's go into some of the features real quick in that Easy Gem Rhinestone software you guys got from us. So I'm going to select just part of it. Let's select the shield. All right. So I'm going to duplicate it, Control D on my keyboard. Now I can work with it where it's at right now, but I want to work it off to the side because it's easier for you guys to follow that way. A couple things we can do here. Control U to ungroup, or Object Arrange Ungroup. Now I can see all the layers that make up the design. Also, when ungrouping, I can select it. Anytime you select multiple objects in Corel, you can create a boundary with this button right here. Yes, you can also find boundary up in object, but the boundary function, what it's doing is it's creating a new object around the edge of it. Several of you might be getting at where I'm going here. Make sure it's a hairline thickness, and right-click on the color you want. So now I right-clicked on this orange. I have a hairline outline around the edge of the design, right? And I'm going to click on this red button for the EasyGem Rhinestone software to create perfect circles around the edge. Pretty cool, right? And obviously you'll export these to cut and glitter flake or to do rhinestone templates with. Now, to answer your question, before you ask it, go back a few steps, Control Z. There we go. If we want an offset of those rhinestones, adjust the thickness of that outline that you created, and the thickness is how much the offset's going to be. I'll make that a different color just so you guys can see what I've done there with that thick offset outline. I don't want to convert that outline to its own object in itself because I want you guys to just do the same thing over and over again. It is Control-Shift-Q, but convert outline to object is what you're looking for. So now the outline's its own piece, and so is all the others, right? Anytime, again, you have more than one object selected in Corel, you can create the boundary with that easy button there. We'll make it orange by right-clicking on orange. We'll make it a hairline thickness, and we'll create the circles. But now those circles are offset by the amount of the offset I created before. So it's the same step over and over. It's just the first one you're creating thickness, converting it to an object. The second one you're actually applying the circles or rhinestones to. The editor or the edit buttons inside the rhinestones, there's a few. So this button right here will remove any overlaps that are currently represented as a hollow red circle, right up at the top there. We'll go back a step, put that back. Or this toolbar, by the way, it might be at the top of your workspace. It might not be on the left. This is the manual edit tool, so you can move around those circles manually. You can also left-click to add circles if you want to. Notice how I keep saying circles. It's rhinestones, or is it glitter flake, or it's circles. That's what it is. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to take the solid layer here. Well, let's just duplicate it again. Control D, duplicate that kind of shield in the back, plate actually. Ungroup it again, so you guys can see just the main layer that I'm getting at here. See the blue layer that I've selected? Move that off to the side just so you can see. I could have left it there again, but I'm going to move it off to the side so you can see what it is I'm doing here. With this one, I'm going to do a fill pattern of the rhinestones, so the next rhinestone fill option there. With this, I'm also going to go into, and yes, you could have done so, with the outlines, the editor, this little gear button opens the property or object properties of what it is we're working with there. A few things that are a little bit more evident when I'm doing a fill rather than an outline. Things like the angle. So here's the angle. I can adjust that. Maybe at this particular angle, click on apply. Now they go at that angle. See what I'm getting at there? Or with the object properties open on the right, you may want to do a cascade, which is a center out type rhinestone fill. And you can go into the individual stones themselves, adjusting the size of those circles. SS16s are a little bit larger than the 10s, and the spacing will go 1 instead of 0.5. Click on apply. It's also going to tell you the count of stones in there. Now from here, in this particular example, you might want to zoom into the center, use that editor tool, delete a few, move a few around so it looks nice. Again, I'm OCD, I want things symmetrical, but you're getting the idea. I want to delete that one, but anyways, there we go. Now, to answer your question before we get to it, let's select this original. Click the Simplify button. Simplify is punching all the layers through. Again, when more than one object are selected in Corel, you get these tools up at the top. Showed you guys that contour or boundary tool. The Simplify tool punches all the layers through, which means this layer, this blue layer, is punched through the other layers now, right? What I'm getting at is something like actually moving the rhinestones around and applying it with the other tools on them. Ooh, now we're doing some weird effects, right? You can print this. You can use, if you have a wide format digital printer, some of the metallic inks that are out there. Getting into some really, really cool techniques and print techniques for working with layers and doing multi-decoration for digital print processes. Anyways, I just want to show you guys the rhinestone tool's more than just rhinestones, more than just cutting glitter flake. It's an actual design element tool as well. All right, we're going to click on this eagle dude here. We're going to duplicate him too, Control D on our keyboard. We're going to drag him off to the right, and we're going to resize him. Actually, no. First, we're going to do a few things. Something to be very, very, very aware of over the next few buttons that I'm about to show you here, the digitizing functions. I just clicked on the auto digitize function. So it's going to take it a moment. Obviously, I got an internet connection going and a whole bunch of programs running, so it will take a few seconds longer than usual. But the program is digitizing our eagle, our baseball player eagle guy there, based on the presets in the software. Sorry guys, based on time, I did skip over the rhinestone text tool, play with that, and a couple of the other like cutting options. But again, I can go into as much detail as you want in that via email or my tech support. So the eagle that I selected, it digitized it, and it did a pretty darn good job. It really did, as you can see when I click on the 3D view button there. But it did so because, and I must say this, I'm about to say it 3 more times too, because it was such good quality vector to start with. It's one of the reasons why we got such a good result with the Easy Stitch software. It's not a manually digitizing software. It's the best vector to stitch software. It's a specific tool. And the best part about it, in my opinion, is even though I just digitized that eagle guy, it's still Corel Draw. I can still Control U to ungroup him. I can still click on certain parts of him. He's still layered and grouped perfectly. I can take the white portion of the eagle guy and click over in my object properties and make a satin out of it instead, clicking on apply. Now you can see in the 3D view that that's a satin. Did a horrible job because I need to probably adjust angle, and I showed you guys the angle tool there, right? So you're going to adjust the angle in that satin also so that it looks good. You can still Control Z to go back a step or 4 or 10 or 100. You can still click on certain pieces and move them around, like just his arms, right? You can adjust just the black layer, the layer behind everything, right? Maybe force that to be your underlay and adjust density of that black layer behind it. Now there is an underlay naturally behind every area and every color stitched, of course, but you can click on each of those areas, click one button to remove the underlay, right there, and then just do the black background and force it to be your own tatami light fill underlay because your density is right here too. Let's go 0.8. So now what's behind it is a tatami 0 degree angle fill at a 0.8 degree. So you may easily manually control that tatami that you might use as your underlay depending on what you're stitching on. You might be able to just delete that whole area. See how cool it might stitch out now? This negative print technique is so popular right now. We have part of the garment literally coming through on purpose. Now obviously if we were going to move into production with this, we're going to make sure we have very little pull compensation so it's not stitching past the edge. But so easy to adjust things in Corel Draw / Easy Stitch, like pull compensation right here. Pull comp, none. Just make sure it's none. Now, as it digitized him automatically, or generally, or however you want, it did so based on some specific properties found under the Action apps, and you can adjust those in the properties area. Denise likes to call this the recipe. In fact, we even changed the name in here to recipe with the latest update. So it digitized it for stitching on normal or nothing default type stitching. But if I were to choose piqué when I had it auto digitize, it would have had some natural pull compensation in there. Probably would not have if I were to choose denim or jeans. as an example. Do set with your Easy Stitch your machine format. We've programmed into this software, it took us a ton of time and resources, different limitations to different machines. Milka machines stitch different than Happy machines. They just do. Different turns, different satin, different trims, trim areas, things like that are applicable. Now, very similar to doing text with the rhinestone tool, you can do text with the embroidery tool. First, you're probably going to want to draw a line. You don't have to, but whatever. We'll add text to that line. And you can type in whatever you'd like and update it. The reason why our Easy Stitch embroidery software is only $2,000, most of you probably got a discount on that because you probably got it with a package or something, it's because we only have like, I don't know, 18 fonts or something like that come with it. If you wanted to buy the additional fonts, there's resources for you to do that, but it is, $4,800 digitizing software that's $2,000 or less because of that. Now again, how many fonts does Corel Draw come with? A cajillion. You know what I mean? So you guys are getting the idea there also. And it's behaving like Corel. I can just click on orange. And or if you have a Madeira thread palette, you just load that into Corel Draw, and then it's the exact orange you want it to be, etc. View that in 3D there. Not too bad, right? I mean, some pretty cool techniques and some very simplified digitizing tools in here. Now, I've been talking my yapper off for the past 50 minutes. I'm going to take a breather. I'm going to look at the questions that have come in during the class. As you guys, and I should probably bring up my contact info while I'm doing so. All right, questions. Oh, wow, quite a few. Give me a minute. And yes, you can type in questions in the GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting window there. Okay, I have quite a few questions on our software specifically and our graphics specifically. Okay, we have in our art library over 30,000 perfect vector graphics. If you're looking for something and we don't have it, we do. Let me just say first we do. We might only have a couple dozen. For example, scorpions. By the way, when a cheerleader grabs her foot, that's called a scorpion. Like, we only have 54 scorpions, That's one of the lower amounts. I mean, you saw when I typed in tiger, there was hundreds. Whether it's, eagles, but you want a specific eagle for the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? That's different. USMC. We still have, those specifically. But if you go into military, you're going to find hundreds, literally hundreds, that are very applicable for the USMC. You know what I mean? Eagle, globes, anchor, ankle, anchors, whew, I can speak. Guys and gals, all that type of stuff. Just tons and tons of resources. We have the most comprehensive and highest quality vector graphics library out there. If a few of you in the class don't own our entire art library, let me know. I'll get you a screaming deal. Like, I'm the trainer. I'm not a sales guy. Yes, I do a little bit of sales, but come on. I mean, I'll just hook you up, seriously. Now, a few of you were asking, I'm going to show you something real quick. Now, for all of you who are at the SGIA show, the latest trade show where this class kind of brainchild out of, we did a promotion there, just so you're aware. If you bought our graphics package, you get our website for free. And by website, I mean we're going to build you a custom website that will compete with Vistaprint or like, any online designer type tool. That type of thing, So this is just an excellent, excellent tool that for you to consider. So this is I Design Shirts Online. This is our default website. Here's one of our client websites that we've built. Here's another client website we've built. Here's another client website that we've built. All of them have similar features to them, but they do differ in quite a big way that they say your company name, your pricing, your structure, your background, your logo, etc. This is a tool that you guys get for nothing. Yeah, you heard me right. That's amazing tool. If you bought our whole graphics library, or you got our package, and I can bend rules here, just letting you guys know, we'll build you this. You just pay the monthly. It's $99. That's it. You know what I mean? People go to your site, they have a default product that they can start designing on, but you have tons of products to choose from, or they have tons of products to choose from. Or we can upload the products that you guys offer specifically to your site. I could do a ladies wear bottoms. I could do a ladies wear outerwear. I can do embroidery on it. I could do tees. I can do polos. I mean, there's tons and tons of options in here. I'll do a ladies polo. Now this particular polo has multiple areas to customize. So I can add text. That text shows in the upper left. I can adjust that text to say action. I can adjust that action to say, you know, to have us be an embroidery. There we go. That'll be kind of cool. Now it's an embroidery. You can only stretch it out a certain amount, right? Because it's satin. And we've built that into the software. We could choose a different font, and it's just those embroidery fonts coming up now, right? We can adjust the width and height and rotate and outline and stuff like that on there. We can also take that action and put it on a different drop zone, the other drop zone print area, right? Move that around by clicking on it. It's super easy to do these things. Add clip art. Now, your online website will come with a little over 14, actually I think it's right at 14,000 vector graphics. You gotta spell stuff right. But it also comes with thousands of embroidery graphics too. So if I want to drop a tiger on this ladies polo, I can do so. If I want that tiger to just be an embroidery tiger, you know, it'll show several of the 5,000 options that come with the system there. My internet's a little slow, sorry about that. And I misspelled it. Let's do eagle. Oh, there they go. Here, I like this one. Let's do that one. So there's a tiger. Stretch him out. Oh, that's all I can stretch him out. That's as big as he goes right there. That's good, right? Adding text, uploading their own images. They can still change the product color. You know what? This shirt's also offered in these colors. You know, and these colors. Based on the Sanmar library. I want to click back on that text and move it around. It might not be perfect the way they're doing it, because our customers, they're not perfect and they don't know the first thing about production, but they chose their text, they told you what they want, they uploaded their own image, or they chose one of yours, they positioned it, they chose their product, they got you 95% of the way there, and it just saved you hours, and it's paying, and all you had to do is give us $99 a month. You know what I mean? This particular product, you can do like embroidery on sleeves. You can put stuff on the back. We can add clip art, maybe do jersey numbers on the back. This tool is a slam dunk. I'll stop with the sales pitch, guys. It's just something to seriously consider, especially if it's something doable today or tomorrow, or it might have to be today. I'm off tomorrow because of that trade show, and I'll just, if I have to bend the rules a little bit, you guys weren't at the show, I'll pretend like you were. So you get this perfect EPS vector file when they submit this graphic to you. You'll get those SO files. They can adjust color in all this. You can set your own minimums. You know what I mean? So if I want the eagle to be, you know, specific colors, I can do the shirt coming through there and the shirt coming through there. Obviously, as you can see, I just removed 2 colors from the design. Now, I wouldn't do that. I don't know, that wasn't a good tool, but you're getting the idea. I could say I want 12 larges, and I can move to the checkout of it. They can type in questions. You can run promotions and fundraisers from here. It's just a killer tool. $99. If you don't already have like a cool website, it's worth it. We host it. We support it. You don't have to worry about it. So example, example, example. Client sites, and then our default site. I design shirts online. If you want to play with that one, let me know, seriously. If you're interested in this, even in the questions window, I didn't set up a questions for this, but if in the questions window you type in I'm interested in the live designer or something like that, I'll give you a call and we'll set it up for you guys, or start setting it up. So tech support time. It's not 24/7. It's usually like a 7 to 4 Arizona time thing. But we'll always get back to you. You can leave messages. You can email us anytime. Questions on the software? No, I'm sorry. I did not show all the features of the Easy Stitch software either. But I'm going to refer you guys back to our YouTube page. Again, Denise did a great job. You can even search on our YouTube page for Easy Stitch. Yes, I always have 80s music on. Well, not always 80s, it's usually 80s music on. Just read that. So here's a bunch of tutorials, at least 15, specifically on the Easy Stitch. All right. Boom. Okay. Let me see, reading more questions. On the website service, just if you have questions, give me a buzz. You guys got my number. Here, let me pull up my contacts again. I don't want to go over. There we go. So 480-393-0481 is the most direct way to get in touch with me. Or obviously my new email, trainingandcorel@gmail.com.